But the word is he was in Kenya, and she couldn't fly back because she was too pregnant.
Well, that's exactly what a mother would do. She would come back and try to dummy it up. Even if she had no idea he was going to run for president, she'd want him to be a U.S. citizen.
Correct. Because especially then, and even now, even though right now I think we're in troubled waters because of the many things Obama's doing, people fight to get to the United States because we have freedoms. I mean, the sad part is, ladies and gentlemen, when listening to this, we take for granted some of these freedoms you have in this country, and you shouldn't. I remember with my children going through a train over in Europe a number of years ago, and we were stopped because we took a train through, at that time, Czechoslovakia, and we didn't have the correct papers for that. The conductor, thank God, hid me and my children. If not, there were armed guards came on that thing and checking with people to take them off. You don't realize what freedoms you have here. I mean, what we're talking about here today, Alex, on your show, you couldn't be doing this in Russia. You couldn't be doing this in Iraq.
If they set the precedent to have an illegal alien as president, we're screwed. All right, we're going to your calls for attorney Phil Berg. This is the guy who 2 years ago saw some of this documentation and said, I'm going to investigate. Deputy Attorney General previously in the state, run for governor, member of the NAACP, prominent member, I believe on their board. They're in that state, and they've said every horrible thing in the world about him. He's racist, all this crud. And even Obama being African is a fraud. African as in not Arab. Of course, there are Arab Africans. He's 6% African. 6%. He's 44% Arab, 50% Anglo-Saxon. I don't care what color he is. The point is that's a distraction. It's just like when you say you don't want socialist health care, which it wasn't even that. It was an insurance company scam. Even Howard Dean said that now, and Dennis Kucinich. That's why it's dead in the water. Even when that came out, Chris Matthews and Carlos Watson and others said, this is racism. It's racism. Racism to say I don't want health care. So they're playing the race card, and it's totally blown up in their face. It's not working. I want to go to your phone calls, and we've got Mr. Berg for another 30 minutes in the next hour, so plenty of time for him to get into any other subjects. But support what he's doing because he's got a lot of courage. I talked to him off air. They haven't killed him or set him up because that will just elevate everything he's doing. We'll talk about that before he leaves. But let's talk to Julio in Illinois. Julio, thanks for holding. You're on the air with attorney Phil Berg. Go ahead.
Alex Jones, how are you this afternoon? Phil Berg, I commend you for what you're doing. God bless you. I will have you in my prayers, sir. You are unbelievable for what you are doing, exposing the fraud known as Barry Soetoro, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. My question is, first off, I took an African-American studies class 2 years ago, or last year, here in college in Macomb, Illinois, and we saw the biography channel, biography on Barry Soetoro, and they said, growing up, that his nickname was Barry. I do remember that, and I just saw right now on TV for Comcast cable people on demand. You can look that up. They have his biography there. But my question, you're talking about a march in Washington, D.C., on tax day possibly, on April 15th. How does Barry Soetoro go off paying his taxes under the alias Barack Obama, similar to TurboTax, the rat Tim Geithner? How does this sick, disgusting man get away, with his aliases, and you have, Benedict Arnold?
Hold on. That's a great point. Much of his own cabinet has been caught in tax trouble, doesn't pay their taxes. It's just a lawless group of criminals, and you were going to say something about Mr. Beck.
Yeah, Benedict Arnold, him, Chris Matthews, all these scum, you guys are right. They're setting us up for something because they continue now recently on TV talking about birthers, talking about 9/11 truth movement and how, we're going to assassinate the president. We all need to be peaceful in this InfoWar fight.
Julio, tell him. You've seen that yourself. We played it here. Phil isn't even aware of this. Tell him what you've seen Beck do.
Glenn Beck on his radio program said that, 9/11 truthers, he was talking about Van Jones, are going to infiltrate the White House, or are already in the White House, and are going to assassinate the president, that we need to have the president in our prayers.
And then another TV show, he said birthers too now.
Yeah, he says, birthers, he had you on his stupid little fourth-grade chalkboard. He had Deborah Medina, Miss Flip-Flopper, who, I'm shocked that happened. But, he had all these people. He had Van Jones on his board. This is, what is this? All
right, Julio, thank you. We're going to come back in 70 seconds with the third hour, have Phil Berg respond to what he just heard briefly. Then we're going to quickly, because I want to get a lot of callers in. And Julio had great points, but that burned up 5 minutes. We're going to go to Matt, David, John, Nick, and others so we can get to others and bring up different issues and so Phil Berg can respond.
You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Attorney Phil Berg, founder of the birther movement, is our guest. I'm going to have him in the next segment briefly recap. Some stations carry the second half of the show. Why the birther issue is so important. We're taking calls at the bottom of the hour when he leaves us. Then Lindsey Williams with more inside info directly from the highest levels of the global power structure on what they're planning with the dollar and the economy. Phil Berg, you heard Julio's points. Quick comments on that before we go to more calls.
Well, I think it's disgusting that Beck tries to associate me with these other people and tries to tie me in that I hate America. I don't hate America. I do this because I love America, and I'm going to challenge Beck. He won't do it. I'm going to challenge him to a debate. He's got the nerve to put me up there and talk about me. I'm going to challenge him to a debate. He probably won't do it, but it's wrong what he's doing and wrong making me connotations. I want peace. I want a peaceful revolution. I want this through the court system and not through that. I'm going to embrace the American public to have a birth certificate march on Washington, which will be peaceful, and demand that if he can't prove that he's constitutionally eligible, that he resign. Can you see 1 million people there with a copy of birth certificate and Obama not doing? The media would have to cover this.
And by the way, at these town halls, as you know, for a year now, Republican and Democrats will say, no, he's American citizen, and literally the whole room starts screaming at him. Even at Democrat events, people are sick of this, and ObamaCrimes.com is your website. I've seen it on TV. I've heard it where he puts you up there next to the weathermen and others and says these people hate America, they're dangerous. Folks, send those videos because there's millions of listeners. You can find them. I have a small staff. I've seen it. I don't have time to go dig it out. It would take maybe 10 hours to dig through hundreds of shows. Send it all to Phil Berg. Help him so he has the info, but also support ObamaCrimes.com. Let's go to Matt in Ohio. Matt, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. Hi, Phil.
Hey, Matt.
I may have to be way out in left field here, but what do you think the chances are that the puppet masters, the people that pull Obama's strings and the higher ups in government, are going to let Obama's true identity and his birth certificate and all that out at the right time to get him impeached in order to impose more laws on us to be able to keep better track of us?
You're saying that could be the false flag. It would cause riots, all sorts of problems. Phil, your take on it.
Well, I'm going to demand when we get him out of office, and we're going to do it, we're going to demand we'll hold a news conference. I'm going to call all the top politicians in this country and the religious leaders and say, you plan to cause riots in the streets and damage property and injure and kill people? Why? The only person responsible for this is Barack Obama. No, I don't think they're going to let it out. I think what's going to happen is the American public is going to demand it. I think about 20 million people know about this. Help me raise the public awareness to 100 million people. We will force him out of office because this is outrageous what he is doing, and he's out to to tear apart our country.
Well, it's just like ClimateGate in the first month when they said it wasn't real, and now it blew up in their face, and they've all admitted they're liars. Right. It's the same thing. They're stonewalling. The truth can't be stopped. We know he's an Indonesian citizen. We know his real name's Barry Soetoro. That's enough right there under law because he can't be a natural. Explain that to people, Phil.
Well, once he's adopted there, he becomes a natural of Indonesia. And therefore, when he came back, according to our immigration laws, he would only become naturalized. But someone did what's called a FOIA request, Freedom of Information request, sent me a copy. They asked for a copy of Obama's birth certificate. It came back that he never had one. Now, they didn't check for Barry Soetoro, but I think he never had one. I think he traveled on his Indonesia passport. That's why at age 20, he stopped in Indonesia on his way to Pakistan to renew his passport.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear on this.
Go ahead.
His real name's Barry Soetoro on record. Coming up, we've got him calling into a radio show in D.C., calling himself Barry. That's coming up. His name is Barry Soetoro. Folks, do you realize they're freezing all his documents, all his records? They're covering something up that's even worse than him really being an Indonesian citizen. We have an Indonesian citizen as our president, and once even if he had been a U.S. citizen before, he'd have to waive that citizenship to become a citizen of Indonesia. I mean, if I wanted to go waive my citizenship and become a Swiss citizen, I would have to waive my U.S. citizenship.